Parkour!
All right, Richard.
All right, we have the money to go to Tribes. Number 1.
Hey kids, I hear you need money for Tribes.
Number 2, we got our parents to agree to let us go away for multiple days. Can I go?
Yeah, sure, okay, yeah.
I was wondering, can I go to Tribes?
No.
Dad, please, can I go to Tribes? Richard, last thing we need to do is get in physical shape because there's a lot of things you're doing at Tribes that I'm not ready for.
Yeah, I'm in pretty great shape already. This body's pretty chiseled. Yeah, I'm faster than most gazelles, as quick as a mongoose. All right, let's do it.
All right, Richard, we got to stretch before we can get ready for games.
These stretches are atrocious, okay? My name is Hans. I like bratwurst. You never ever win any games if you stretch like this, okay? Hans will show you.
I kind of consider myself the alpha dog, but then this Hans guy showed up.
Spread your legs
Okay.
very, very far.
All right.
Now touch the back of your butt.
Who is he?
Richard, I can't reach my butt.
This is very close. You make very progress, okay? Very good.
I feel like my sister dancing
You
right
have to
now.
touch your own butt or can you touch someone else's butt?
Never anyone else's butt, only your own.
Wow, that Hans guy really knows what he's doing. Who is that guy?
I don't know. We can learn a thing or two, I guess.
I'm the trainer, number 1, the whole world.
All right, I'm ready.
Richard!
We ready for the dodge?
All right, I'm ready for the practice. I'll show you how good I am. You just try to hit me. Didn't touch me.
They are possibly the worst athletes. Okay, now we train for the impossible mission, okay? You have to not hit the noodle, okay?
Yeah, when I play Mission Impossible, I'm not really worried about my friends or so-called friends or friends of friends. It's really every man for himself.
I can't believe Richard left me there. Richard, we're ready to go to Tribes.
Yeah, that definitely was way easier than I thought it was gonna be.
Did you drink milk today?
Nope, just Gatorade. All right, I'm Richard Foster.
I'm Bobby D.
We'll see you guys at Tribes 2018.
October 12th through 14th.
May the best tribe win. I've never felt more prepared for Tribes.
These guys are not ready for the games.
Welcome to Warehouse Live.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event
The main event of your lives.
of this week.
We're glad, we're glad to be here. Hope you're doing well. Another week, another Wednesday. So as always, we'd like to ask each other a couple questions and ask you a couple questions. So I have a question for you, Peter, and for them. The question is, what do you think phones will be like in 10 years? My guess is that phones will get thinner, completely indestructible, and they'll be more powerful than. I wonder if they'll be invisible, like a film.
Like a film?
Like a thin. I don't know. I'm
Like
not
a
sure.
Kodak film?
Kinda, yeah. No, not in 10 years. That's too fun. They'll be indestructible though. In 10 years, for sure. Indestructible.
Yeah. What I think phones will be like. Well, judging by the rate of how it's like phones came out, they were like this, and then this, and then this, and then. So I think phones will be about the size of a normal small iPad.
Oh yes. Hello. How are you doing?
People have little satchels that they carry around with their ginormous phone.
Like the baby carriers in front of them. Like yeah.
And people are so addicted, they'll probably start like naming their phones, raising their phones as if they were their own children. I'm hoping battery life will increase.
Oh,
right?
that will not
Over the life
happen.
of a
I
phone.
think if anything, battery life in the next 10 years is going to decrease.
I do agree. I do think they will get better at being indestructible, especially the glass or the screen. But by that point, we'll all be blind because we've stared at blue screens for so long.
That's true.
We'll not need phones.
And I think they're going to know everything about us because they already know. They're already like, hey, you're going to be late for your meeting.
Right.
Wow, how'd you know that? So I think they're going to just be like, hey, Justin, did you take your vitamins this morning?
Yeah, they're gonna remind you. Yeah.
Yeah, you ran out of vitamins, so we ordered it
For sure.
you. Yeah, they're gonna. Yeah, that's what I think.
All right. Well, you guys comment in the chat box what you think phones will be like in 10 years. So you guys will be anywhere from 21 to 28.
Wow, getting old there, Jake.
Yeah. You guys are aging. You look good though.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Yeah. Have you ever developed a friendship over the internet?
Oh yeah, you go
To
first.
ask
Sorry,
this
yeah, you go
question
first.
now is not as weird, but
Yeah.
if you asked this back when I was in middle school, it'd be like creep alert, right? Like you don't talk to people on the internet. You don't even look at strangers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I went on a mission
How do
trip
you look
back
at a stranger on the internet?
in person. I meant.
Oh, okay, cool.
I went on a mission trip back in the day to Scotland, and they warned us like whatever
You been to Scotland?
Yeah, dude.
I never knew that.
I went to William Wallace Tower. I bought a little William Wallace sword letter opener. Took it back on the plane.
I'm really
they
jealous right
confiscated
now.
it.
They do mission trips to Scotland.
Yeah, it was sweet. Helped some blind or some deaf, no, blind or deaf people. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. And we hung out with like this youth group. It's kind of started me like in working with students. I'm honest. One of the
Scotland,
things.
that's
Yeah,
cool.
Scotland. It was dreary.
Oh yeah, your friend.
I climbed inside a cannon while I was there at Edinburgh Castle.
Did they shoot you out into
Yeah.
like a pool of water?
No, but
Oh.
they definitely should have gotten mad at me because it was one of those do not touch, and I climbed inside it, took the picture,
You were
climbed
that
out.
kid.
Yeah.
Peter's
Anyways,
never allowed to yell at you for doing anything you're not supposed to do now.
don't do that. Yeah, so they said, please be careful. Do not like overpromise to these kids, right? Like the world wasn't as connected as it is today. Anyways, I befriended this kid named Bobby. He was good at bagpipes, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Super nice kid, wanted to know more about Jesus, so we emailed back and forth for no joke like a year because I was so scared that I was gonna like be that guy who came in short-term mission trip, left, never talked to you again. But I followed up with him. We emailed like for a long
Bobby.
time. Yeah,
That's really cool.
Bobby.
Yeah, I developed a friendship playing video game.
Bobby. Anyways, sorry.
Oh, was it the?
I have one of my favorite students' names Bobby, which is why it kind of.
Oh,
Yeah,
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 Richard and Bob. Is that
Yeah.
where? Oh, is that the same friend?
No.
Oh,
different,
okay.
Different.
Okay.
That guy. Anyways.
Yeah, I developed a friendship with a guy named Max. I mean, he was like a teen. I was a middle schooler playing video games, and he was about maybe middle school or lower high school-ish. And he was like before the internet really had trolls. He was like an OG troll.
Oh, wow.
So if you know, people trolling on the internet now is very, very common because
Yeah.
YouTube comments and stuff.
Which,
But-
by the way, if you're trolling in this video, knock it off.
Yeah,
right?
some of you have been trolling us every week, and we would like you to stop
just
it. Yeah. So, trolling is like messing with people online and saying stupid things to get them upset and stuff. And people didn't do that as much right away. There was less people online. And my friend would just do the dumbest things, and he was really mean to my little brother. And so my little brother actually still talks about. I think it's hilarious, but.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But you were friends with him.
Oh yeah, we were great friends. He was just trolled everybody else.
Yeah, friends with the troll.
Yeah.
Under the bridge.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
All right, well, go ahead and comment if you have made friends over the internet, or and nowadays it's not as weird. Snapchat, or put the name of somebody, and more so the means by which you became friends.
Yeah.
Gaming, Snapchat. I don't know.
Yeah,
internet
whatever.
things.
Yeah. Hey students, welcome back to my fireplace. It's fun being home all the time. Last week we set out the challenge for really old things. Your leaders actually sent me some really old things, so here are their really old things. Okay, now that we got the awkwardness of me figuring out how to be in front of wow, apparently not. Now that we have the awkwardness of me figuring out how to be in front of a camera again out of the way, we're going to move to Peter, who is interviewing the 2nd through 6th cutest kids in the world. We have another interview with Peter's kids, so if you don't remember this from last week or you weren't here, Peter's going to ask two of his kids, I can't tell you their names because that's one of the questions, two of his kids some questions, and you get to put in the chat, never remember which way it is, you get to put in the chat what you think their answers are. It'll be multiple choice except for a couple of fill in the blank. So get ready, get your fingers going, get over in that chat. Here's Peter's kids.
Tell me your name
Anna,
and how old you are.
7. My name is Fred and I'm 29. He's actually Elijah and he is 9. Hey!
All right. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Anna. All right. Question number 1. What is your favorite Star Wars character and why?
Yoda and he's a wise teacher. Princess Leia because she's really forcing. She forces people to do stuff.
Forces people to do stuff. Like what?
Lots of stuff. Like
Okay.
she said in the fourth, she said, "Now get this big furry carpet out of my way," to Chewbacca.
Oh, wow.
If you've even seen it.
Okay. Chewbacca is a carpet?
No. They act like he is.
Okay.
But he's a Wookiee.
All right. Question number 2. What is your favorite thing about your dad?
That he likes to wrestle with us and go on bike rides. That he'll teach me how to play basketball so I can go to the NBA.
All right. What is your favorite food and why?
My hamburgers, they're just delicious. Hamburgers. The same reason as him. Delicious.
Are you guys twins?
No.
Nope. Well, gross.
Yeah, really.
All right. Do you guys know any jokes?
Yeah. I do.
Can you tell me?
No.
Okay.
I know a lot. Only if it can be a riddle.
All right. Tell me a riddle.
Okay. What? One night, a princess and a king went into a castle. There was nobody inside it, and the next morning when they came out, there was 3 people. Who was the third person?
Baby.
No.
What's the answer to the riddle?
A knight.
Like nighttime?
Yeah. Instead
Oh,
of a
you
knight,
mean a
it's like
Knight. A knight in shining armor.
Anna, what does an elf learn first when they go to school?
I don't know what.
The alphabet.
Nice. That's a good one. All right, last question for this round. How do you know if you are rich?
If you have 105,000,008 zillion gazillion dollars.
Wow.
If you have a lot of things that cost a lot of money, you're rich.
So if I have a lot of rocks, does that make me rich?
Nope.
Well,
Nope, because you're
With-
not rich.
you're rich with rocks, but then if you own
A bunch of
huge-
jewels.
a huge house and a ton of things, you're rich.
Okay.
Wow, Peter, I did not know that you had a 29-year-old. That's impressive and scary. All right, next we're going to move to another game. We're going to do the last round of Box of Lies. This round is Stephen versus Peter, and I got to choose the objects. So take a look at Stephen versus Peter. Who is better at lying and who is better at boxing? Close your
That's
eyes.
amazing.
That's great. We
Out
were
of your
in a
skin.
church. All right, we're ready. We're good.
All right, Stephen, teller of truth. I've never known you to tell a lie, so,
That's true.
and I'm also your boss. So,
This is also one of my favorites. I like this.
okay.
It is. How do I want to be as descriptive as possible so you get it right.
Okay. Wowzer.
There's
This
a
must be
horse.
This must be a doozy.
There's a horse involved.
Okay.
Okay. Think cowboy-esque things, right? In the form of Blu-ray, so like a DVD sort of thing.
Okay, DVD of Cowboys.
Yes. Do you
Okay.
have any questions?
There's a disc involved.
I would assume. I'm not allowed to touch it, right? So
You're not allowed to touch it?
yeah,
Open it?
I guess.
Is this a film? Some type of film?
Yeah.
You can watch it.
Sure.
All right, I think you're telling the truth. I have no idea what it is, but
Yeah. It's a cowgirl story.
that's awesome.
It was a good game.
Yeah. you share it so oddly.
It's in a bag for you.
Okay. All right.
We're good?
Oh. All righty. Opening the large, huge item.
Can't be that big.
Holy moly, that's a biggie. Man. This is fascinating.
Justin, you're better at lying than he is.
How do I say this? This is of the cannabis family. I believe it is a fake weed leaf. Cannabis leaf. Leaf of the cannabis. Marijuana in some languages.
What color is it?
Green. Steven.
But it's fake.
Yes.
So just checking. Why'd you act like I'm the dumb one?
Okay.
How big is it?
As big as my palm.
Can I see your palm?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else? Or is it just the leaf?
Just a leaf
Why
in
was-
like a satchel.
In a satchel. Just a full leaf.
Almost like a hemp. No pun intended. Or
a full leaf just in a bag.
yeah.
Seeds, stems, everything. Non-smokable. That's what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Okay.
Non-smokable. You can try to smoke it if you'd like,
I was just checking. All right.
but
Just
you'll be
asking
fired
questions.
the moment you do try.
Great. Okay. I think we need to talk.
Yes, strike two.
I'm gonna go with lies.
For real?
Yeah, you're lying.
It's true, man.
What? Where'd you find this?
Okay, look at that.
Where'd you find? We are in a church.
All right, that's it. Thanks for joining us. Box of Lies. Play this at home. Go find something. I think it's a good at-home game. All you need are something to disguise it and a third person to help you out. So
Friends. That's what you need.
friends or boxes. Both are great.
Wow, Peter, those are wise and needed words. Next, we're actually going to go to Stephen Holderfield, our resident worship intern, skinny jeans barista person. He has graciously decided to give one of the sermons for this time online, and so we're going to go to Stephen as he actually talks about a really cool story that we don't hear a lot about. So if you're distracted right now, if things are crazy, if maybe there's stuff going on in the background, or if you're in the chat talking, I'd really encourage you to take a moment, breathe, calm down, and listen to these words from Stephen.
What's up, Warehouse? I hope you guys are doing all right today. I'm going to be honest with you, this is a little weird for me speaking to a camera instead of into all your faces, because I miss you guys. But I hope you guys are doing all right. I hope school is going well. If you guys are still working, or for all my leaders that are still working, I hope that's going all right. I'm working a lot these past few weeks, just because everybody's scared about whatever's going on right now, and so I'm picking up extra shifts, and so 50 hours a week is kind of taking its toll, and so I'm extremely tired. So if you can relate, I guess let us know in the chat if you guys are tired. I know that's my number one thing that I like to tell everyone is, how you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm always tired. Before we get started, I'm really excited to bring this word to you guys today. Peter asked me to do this, and I'm not one for public speaking, if that makes sense, but I took some time and I prayed over it, and I read over this, and this brought me a little bit of hope. This brought me a little bit of excitement. It is, Saturday morning. It's kind of early. I'm not normally up this early, and so if I yawn, I'm very sorry. But I'm sure you guys are familiar with the story of Easter. We just celebrated that. How Jesus died, and then 3 days later he rises, and that's what we like to celebrate on Easter, is the resurrection. So we're going to jump right in. We're in Luke 24. We're going to be in verses 13 through 35. If you guys have a Bible, go ahead and grab that. A paper Bible would be preferable. You can scribble in it. You can make notes. If you have the Bible app, I use it all the time. I'm not Peter. I'm not going to judge you. But feel free to grab that. We're in Luke 24. I'm going to start in verse 13. And I'm just going to kind of go through it, and I'm going to stop when I feel like there's something important to talk about. But there's something interesting I see in this very first Verse 13, we look at it and it says, on that same day, two of them were going to a village called Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem. Right? And so, on the same day, and most of us would go, well, what do you mean on that same day? Well, we find it a little later in the story that this is Easter Sunday. This is the day that the women go to the tomb. This is the day that they see that the body's not there. The stone is rolled away. They're met by angels that saying, hey, don't be afraid, Jesus has risen. And they're afraid, and they go tell the men, and the men show up. And they're like, oh, the body's been stolen, right? I'm sure you've heard that story. On the same day, so probably mid-afternoon, sometime on Sunday, we find out one of them is named Cleopas, and he has a partner, doesn't say who it is, and I'm sure for the story it doesn't really matter, but they're going home. They're going to this village called Emmaus, and it's 7 miles west of Jerusalem. So they're walking. They're like, all right, we're out. We heard that, there was no body in the tomb. We heard that Jesus had rose, but we're headed home. And you would think, and most of us would say, wouldn't you want to wait till at least the end of the day, maybe even Monday morning before you just decide to pack up and go home? Because anytime Jesus had sat down with his disciples, anytime Jesus had a chance to tell these people about it, he said, I'm going to suffer, I'm going to die, I'm going to rise again on the third day, and expect that. But they didn't. They said, we're going home. Can't do anything about that today. All right? And so in verse 14, it says they were talking with each other about everything that had happened, right? The death, the resurrection, Jesus being handed over for his death. They talked and discussed these things, and as they were talking, Jesus shows up. Jesus shows up to talk with them. Right? And I think it's interesting because even though Jesus has risen from the dead, he doesn't show up with blinding lights and chariots of fire and angels surrounding him saying, don't be afraid, and praising him. And this isn't this moment, right? He shows up to them like he normally would. Just a conversation. To engage them in a conversation as if he were still on earth. And he essentially catches up with them, he walks with them, and he says, what are y'all talking about? What's going on? And they stop, right? They're walking to Emmaus, they're having this conversation, hey, this really sucks, I'm really upset, what's going on? Well, what are we supposed to do now? And Jesus goes, what are you guys talking about? And they stop in their tracks. And I think this is interesting because Cleopas looks at Jesus and he says, are you the only visitor? Are you the only man in Jerusalem right now who doesn't know what's going on? And I looked up a little bit of the original Greek that this is written in, and essentially, not word for word, but he looks at Jesus and goes, are you dumb? Are you ignorant? Did you not pay attention? Anything that's been going on has been in the view of the public eye forever. And I can just imagine looking at Jesus in the face and saying, are you a moron? And then later, when Jesus reveals himself to Cleopas, that Cleopas is like, oh my goodness, did I call Jesus an idiot? Right? They stop. Their faces are downcast. They're upset. And they go, are you the only one who doesn't know? And Jesus, being probably the guy that he is, and having a sense of humor, goes, what things? You tell me. And so in verse 20 through 24, they start to explain Jesus to Jesus. And I think it's really funny to look Jesus dead in the face not know who he is, and go, man, there was this man named Jesus, and he was sweet, right? He raised people from the dead, and he fed 5,000 with just a couple loaves and a couple fish. Like, he was healing people. He was performing miracles. He was powerful. People listened to him. And our chief priests, the people that we held in authority, handed him over. And he was murdered for who he was. Mocked. They put a crown of thorns on his head. They said, oh, you're a king? Yeah, well, you're a king, but we're going to kill you, and we're going to give you a crown to prove it. Right? And so they start to explain Jesus. And there's a very interesting thing throughout those 4 verses that jumped out to me when I was reading this, and it's verse 21. And in verse 21, they look at him and they said, but we had hoped that he was the one who was going to redeem Israel, that he was the Messiah, right? And what is more, that this is the 3rd day since all this happened. So they knew. They knew that this was the 3rd day, and I'm sure they had heard several times before that he was going to rise. And they heard that the body was missing. Like, even in verse 23, in addition, some of our women had amazed us. They went to the tomb early this morning, did not find his body. They went to the men went and said, yeah, like, the women are right, the body's not there. But yet they still decide to go home. Right? It's the 3rd day. They still decide to go home. But the interesting part to me is in verse 21, it says, they had hoped. It's not they had hope or there is hope. But their hope is past tense. That it's dead. Right? That they had. It's all in the past now. Like, we put all our hope and our trust and our faith in this dude. And then he gets nailed to a cross and he dies. Right? He's tortured, he's beaten, and he dies. We had hoped that he was going to be the one to redeem Israel. They had this expectation, and I'm sure at some point in time, if you're above the age of like 3, right, that something has hit you so hard that maybe you've experienced loss, maybe you had an expectation for a friend or a relationship, and it hits you like a ton of bricks, like a train. And you say, you know what, there's no point anymore. Like, I give up. The interesting part is on their road to Emmaus, going in the wrong direction. They're not supposed to be going to Emmaus, right? Going in the wrong direction, giving up hope, seeing that in their perspective, seeing that nothing is going to happen at this point. That's where Jesus shows up. Jesus shows up in this time of doubt and despair and of hopelessness, and looks at them and says, no, it's going to be okay. But instead of revealing himself, he asks them the question first. He asks them, you tell me what's going on, because I can't do anything if you don't give it to me. Right? And so in verse 28, they're nearing the end of their journey, and they're talking about all these things, and Jesus starts to unpack the scriptures in verse 25, and it's like a puzzle, right? And so they know the scriptures. They know the things that the prophets said, because they say, hey, we had hoped that Jesus was going to be this guy, and then he was murdered. And Jesus looks at them and rebukes them and says, do you not believe anything that the prophets say? Are you too foolish to understand that the Messiah had to suffer before he entered his glory? And then he unpacks the scriptures to them, right? They're walking And Jesus starts from the time of Moses all the way through the prophets, and he starts to put the puzzle pieces together. Right? So if you've ever done a puzzle, you don't open the puzzle and you take out one piece and you go, oh, I think this goes here, and then you grab just another piece and you go, oh, I think this goes here, and try to put together one by one. You normally, what do you do, right? You take the box and you just throw it all on the floor. Right? You throw it on the table, and then you have to sift through it and go, this is a corner piece, and this is a corner piece, and oh, here's the edge, I understand that. So they have all the puzzle pieces. It's all scattered for them. But Jesus starts to sift through it, and then he puts the puzzle pieces together for them. Right? And so they're nearing the end of their journey, and Jesus has been doing this with them for however long it takes to walk 7 miles. In this time, I don't know if they were walking at a brisk pace or if they were, just casually strolling. But they get toward the end of the journey, and Jesus, again, being kind of the funny guy he is, he's like, I'm going to keep going on, right? And he pretends as if he's going to move on and just keep walking past Emmaus, like he's going to keep going. And some translations say they urged him strongly. My translation says that they begged him to stay. They're like, it's getting dark, you probably haven't eaten, we've been walking for a long time, like the day's coming to an end. Stay with us, eat, and you can continue in the morning. And Jesus goes, oh, okay, I guess I'll go inside. And I don't know how long it would have taken them to unpack and settle in for a second and start a meal, but it says in verse 30 that they sit down and they start to eat. And Jesus does classic Jesus move, and he does what he's always done with any of the people he's ever eaten with. He sits down, he grabs the bread, he blesses it. Right? My translation says that he blesses it. Some of yours might say he gives thanks, right? And so he blesses it, he breaks it, and then he distributes it. Something that he's always done. He blesses the bread, and he breaks it, and then he distributes the bread. And it says at that moment in time, their eyes were opened. They saw him do what he's always done before. Because Jesus is consistent. And at once, the moment that they recognize that it's him, they're like, oh my gosh, it's you. He's gone. Just like that. He just is gone. And they look at each other and they're like, that was Jesus. How did we not know that it was him to begin with? Were our hearts not burning within us when he was unpacking the scriptures? Were we not infatuated with the teachings he was giving us while we were walking along? How did we not know it was him? But instead of pondering this and giving up on the hope of Jesus being the Messiah to redeem Israel, they go, we went to the wrong direction. We went home. We should have been in Jerusalem. We need to leave. And some translations say at once. Mine says within the hour. They get up and they leave. Right? So they rush, they pack their bag. They're like, we need to get going now. Right? So they pack their bag, they get going, and it says that they meet the 11 in Jerusalem, and they talk about, Jesus actually is alive, and he appeared to us, and he broke bread, and that's when we realized it was him. And there's a couple things that really popped out to me when I read this, and one of them was that Jesus is consistent, right? That Jesus is so consistent that he did the same thing he'd always done, and that's how they recognized him, right? That he engaged with them in a conversation, and he asked them a question. In the classic song, I'm a worship guy, so you know that... Sorry, my keys are bothering me. And in the classic worship song, Waymaker, there's those two classic lines, and even when I don't see it, you're working. And even when I don't feel it, you're working. And you never stop. Right? That Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And even when they were walking on the road to Emmaus, and that maybe where you're at right now, and maybe you've been there before, but when you're on the road of hopelessness and despair, that even if you don't see that it's him, their hearts were burning with the scriptures. Even when they don't feel that Jesus was like there in the moment because he had just died, and they said, you know what? He's dead. That Jesus was still working on their hearts because he knew at the moment that he revealed himself, that it was going to change everything. Right? And so the question is, what conversations are we having? Are we having conversations that lead us into doubt? Are we having conversations that revolve around Jesus? Are we having conversations with Jesus? I think in this time of uncertainty and maybe some doubt, maybe some hopelessness because you're missing graduation, or you're looking forward to something, but now it's shut down. Like maybe you had a concert and it's shut down because of all this stuff, or maybe you lost your job. I don't know what it is. But this thought that there is still hope because of the resurrection. That even in the midst of all that Jesus is walking along with you to the road to Emmaus, and he's going to wait till the right time. Right? You could be on your last leg, you could have made it home and you've given up and you said, no, we're settled in. And Jesus shows up and he says, hey, I'm here. And you go, oh crap, I'm in the wrong direction. And that's what causes you to turn around and leave. Right? And so, yes, there might be times where you don't see it or you don't feel it. But to know that Jesus is working, I think, is hope enough. And that question of, that like life application, if you will, of how a lot of churches like to talk about it, but are we paying attention to the things that Jesus is doing in the midst of our lives, or are we trying to busy ourselves? We're all slowed down right now. We're staying at home. We have extra time. Are we getting in the Word? But we're at a point right now that are we paying attention to what Jesus wants us to see? And if we are, great. We can act on it. But if we're not, what are we doing? Why are we busying ourselves just because that's what we're used to? And I hope, I'm really excited that I got to share this with you guys, but I hope this, and finally, I hope this doesn't feel depressing. I don't want this to feel depressing. I want this to feel inspiring and hopeful that no matter what you're going through, it could be in the midst of the deepest valleys or the highest of highs, that especially right now, whatever you're dealing with, that there is hope. Right? That there is Jesus in the middle of it, and that if we're paying attention to what he's doing, we're going to see it. right? And there might be moments where we're not paying attention to it, but he's still working. That doesn't change whether the fact that he's doing it or not. Jesus, his timetable doesn't work on whether or not we're paying attention. So I hope this was encouraging to you guys. Go read this. It's Luke 24. We're in verses 13 through 35. Go read it for yourself. See what pops out to you. I'm going to pray, and then I guess we'll get back to Peter and Justin. Jesus, I ask that you open this scripture to all of us, that you slow our hearts down, that you give us the opportunity to see that you're in everything that's around us, whether it be serving coffee at Starbucks for 50 hours a week, or whether it's working on online school when you're not used to it because you miss social interaction and there's a little bit of despair there. Or if we're having a great time at home and spending it with our families, Lord, I ask that you would shine your light so bright that we would be able to see whatever it is. Lord, I ask that you keep us focused on you, no matter what the day brings. Lord, I ask all these things in your Son's name.
Amen.
Amen. Whew. Wow.
That one.
Best one yet. Wow, it's
Thank you.
It's been good spending another Wednesday night with you live here at the warehouse.
Yep.
No, it's been great. We hope to see you again next week at 7 p.m. Same place. Hopefully this is becoming kind of your new normal.
A little bit of a rhythm developing
Yeah.
at this point.
Oh, if it's normal, love to get videos back from you. So we have another challenge for this
Yes.
week, like we've been doing. And this week, if you've ever seen the video Nature Walk,
Nature. Neature.
if you haven't, you can actually go
pretty neat.
look it up right after this. It's really funny.
For me, nature is one of the neatest things on this planet. That's why Rodney and I started Nature Walk, because we want everyone to know how neat nature is, instead of just me and Rodney knowing it. How neat is that? That's pretty neat. Without a doubt, coming out into nature is one of the neatest things there is to do. But you also have to be careful. That's why I always try to pack a gun. It's just a little bit, pack some heat. Now this isn't much of a big boy. I don't want to kill the animal, but I do want to warn it and say, hey, I think you're pretty neat, but I respect your distance. There's bears out here, there's mountain cougars, and biting goats. How neat is that? That's pretty neat. Oh, wow, score! Look at this. This is an aspen. You can tell that it's an aspen tree because of the way it is. Wow. Wow. What a beaut. You know, it'd be a great capper to a great day. It'd be seeing a wild animal. I always get real excited at the opportunity to maybe see an antelope or a fox, you know, or some sort of mountain beast. So what I do sometimes is I'll try to, you know, shake things up a little bit, get the earth moving, and call out to them, you know. Here we go. Up, up, up. Hip. Hip, tip, tip. Come on.
Yeah, Lenny.
Come on, girl. Nothing. Gee, dang it. I don't see any coming out right now, but I'm not giving up yet. Not too often do you get all this neatness in one location. That's called nature.
We would love you to go to take a nature walk. Film 30 seconds of you in a nature walk, finding out something neat about nature.
Yeah, just something cool. Just anything you can think of that you wouldn't have noticed otherwise, like if you had just stayed inside and watched more shows. So just take a break, go outside, get some fresh air.
Yeah.
Because nature is neat.
How neat is that?
That's pretty neat. All right, have a great week, guys. We love you. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Oh, this is the. Thought this was the welcome.